I'm Dr. Anthony Harper here, blessed to be at the International Religious Freedom Summit here in Washington, D.C., and a lot of crucial issues impacting religious freedom of all religions. And I'm here today with East Turkistan Prime Minister in Exile, Prime Minister Hudayar. Pronounce that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Pleasure to see you again.
Nice to meet you again. So I know we met not too long ago, but since then a lot has developed. I know you've had several demonstrations in Washington, D.C., and then there's, to bring attention to the plight of the Uyghurs. It's hard for me to pronounce that very well, but and how would you pronounce that word?
Uyghur. We pronounce it as Uyghur. Easier way would be Uyghur.
Okay, you do it a lot better than I do. Okay, but so new developments, and I've been at the White House to bring attention to the plight of the Uyghurs about this issue, and no response so far. So what are your concerns right now that you've been brought up to the White House in light of some new developments on your end?
Well, more recently, in the coming week, it's going to be Captive Nations Week. This is since 1959. It's actually a U.S. public law to stand in solidarity with the nations that have been subjugated by communism. And every president since 1959, in the third week of July, has always issued a proclamation issuing America's, solidarity to the captive nations and subjugated peoples across the world. However, we just recently learned that the White House might be considering ditching captive nations completely, which is actually very disastrous, especially in light of what's going on in East Turkistan, which is a captive nation under Chinese occupation, given that there is a present genocide going on, but also the fact that this will only embolden, if the U.S. does, if the White House does decide to terminate Captive Nations Week, this will only embolden China, Russia, and other aggressors out there that want to captivate other nations, or the existing captive nations. In the case of East Turkestan, Tibet, Southern Mongolia, the people of China itself, and even in Cuba and other places like Venezuela as well.
Well, I was going to just kind of remind people again that this is related to the internment camps in China of the Uyghurs, and not all of the people in there are from the Muslim religion, but of other religions, the Christian religion, and some others as well. Absolutely,
there are Uyghurs and other Turkic peoples that adhere to. Majority of them are Muslim, but there are minorities that adhere to Christianity, to Buddhism, and traditional shamanistic religions.
And those human rights abuses, I know that you mentioned before that were happening about harvesting of body parts, organ harvesting, of course, forced sterilization, and so much more. What other things have been happening there?
Well, there is forced labor. There are over 850,000 children that have been forcibly separated from their families and sent to state-run orphanages and boarding schools to be raised as, quote, loyal Chinese citizens. There are mass collection of DNA and biometrics by the Chinese government, and there are being forced marriages. They're even destroying cemeteries to destroy any evidence that the Uyghurs and other Turkic peoples ever existed, essentially.
Well, in addition to those religious issues that are going on, and China suppressing anyone that is in opposition to their atheistic values, I know that there's a very valuable resources in that East Turkistan area, like a lot of natural gas, a lot of coal reserves as well. How often is that addressed about maybe China's fear about having the independence of the Uyghurs in that area, that their natural reserves may be threatened as well?
Well, this is precisely the main reason why China is engaging in genocide. East Turkestan sits at the cornerstone of China's Belt and Road Initiative, which is essentially China's imperialistic agenda to become the world's most dominant political, economic, and military power. East Turkestan is strategically located. It's rich in natural and mineral resources, just like you said. And it's actually electricity from East Turkestan powers over 100 of the largest cities in China. So it's very crucial to China, and this is why they are trying to do everything to keep control, because they fear that East Turkestan might regain its independence soon. And in doing this, in order to prevent that, this is one of their top national defense strategies. One of their top goals is to eradicate our population and to destroy any evidence of our history, our culture, and our very existence.
Well, along with this, I think previously we were talking about the history of that region of East Turkestan. It not always has been high Muslim influence, but it used to be higher in Christian population.
Yes, in the between the 7th to about the 12th century, Christianity was the most dominant religion. In fact, most Uyghurs were Nestorian Christians, and before they became Muslims, they were actually Nestorian Christians. And it wasn't really up until about the 16th, 17th century that Islam ultimately became the dominant religion, to where Christians today are a very small minority.
And was it because of coercion on the part of the Muslims that came into that area, forcing people to convert, or were they chasing the Christian people out? Or
it was what essentially happened was at that time, initially, when Christianity was, our king had pretty much made Christianity, Nestorian Christianity, the state religion. Then several centuries later, a new king embraced that religion, and gradually, over the centuries, it got, Islam became the most dominant religion. But then you also had, Naqshbandi Sufis who infiltrated East Turkestan and began to, put a very radical form of Islam that, denied every other religion, that denied even, science and culture, music, and so forth. And this is ultimately what led to East Turkestan's decline, and what ultimately, caused us to become invaded, and occupied by foreign powers.
Okay. Well, is there a website you'd like for people to know about to get some more updates about the plight of the people in East Turkestan?
Absolutely. They can visit our website at east-turkestan.net, and they can follow us on social media at ETExileGov or ET Awakening.
Okay. Well, once again, this is it's been quite the experience, a good experience here, to be familiar with all the different kinds of various religious persecution that is happening all around the world for a lot of different religions. So do pray for so many people that are being persecuted. And I think especially about what's happening with the Chinese government right now, and the abuses there in these Chinese internment camps, and the religious persecution of many religions there. I know a lot of Christians have been persecuted, pastors threatened, people have been beaten if they don't cooperate, and so thank you.
Absolutely, thank you again for highlighting this much needed issue. Again, the Chinese government, especially under the Communist Party, is a threat to all religions and to essentially all of humanity. As you mentioned, it's not just the Muslims that are being persecuted, but Christians as well. Mosques, churches, and other religious sites, temples have been raised by the Chinese government in an effort to destroy all religion.
Well, we got a lot of serious issues to deal with, and so thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
Thank you.